I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays are for football. That's why we're here to help you get your next DIY project done, even when the clock isn't on your side. Whether that's a new Filtrete filter or Bosch and Cobalt power tools, Lowe's has everything you need to feel like the MVP of DIY. So get it done and earn your Sunday. Shop now, in-store and online. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You're listening to the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast. Today, we're honored to be joined by someone whose name is practically synonymous with innovation at sea. Richard Fain, chairman of Royal Caribbean Group and the company's former CEO for over 33 years. Under his leadership, Royal Caribbean grew from a small cruise line into one of the most valuable vacation companies in the world, launching some of the most ambitious ships ever built. You've probably heard of them, like Icon of the Seas and Star of the Seas. Richard is now sharing decades of experience and insight in his brand new book, Delivering the Wow, which explores the culture, the leadership, and the creativity that helped redefine what a vacation at sea could actually look like. We're going to talk about what inspired his wow philosophy, how Royal Caribbean continues to innovate, and what the future of travel might look like. Richard and his wife of 56 years have 4 children and 8 grandchildren of varying ages, and we are so excited to be talking with him today. Welcome to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. I'm your host, Sherry, and we invite you to join our cruise-loving family as we travel the world creating cruise videos and vlogs. In this podcast, we talk tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make every cruise your dream cruise. Richard, welcome to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. It is such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Sherry. And I don't want to correct you before we even start, but it's 8 extraordinary grandchildren, not just 8 grandchildren.
Extraordinary grandchildren. I mean, love that.
I just have to, facts are the facts, and I have to be upfront about that.
I did see that in your book. I think it was actually in the foreword of the book. It said 8 extraordinary grandchildren.
Indeed.
I love it. Well, you're speaking my language. I have just 1 child, but I'm hoping that someday he gives me 8 extraordinary grandchildren. I think this is the meaning of life, to have grandbabies someday.
It's a great pleasure in life, and I'm blessed.
Yeah, you definitely are. Well, on a personal note, I have to tell you, before we jump into the questions and talk a little bit about the book, I just have to tell you, and I know that our listeners will agree with me, what an impact that you had on us and the industry during the pandemic. And as we, came back into the return to service, I will never forget you in your backyard in Florida. I believe it's Florida, right? And talking about your wife, saying you needed a haircut, but leading us emotionally as well as, literally through this very uncharted territory in this scary time. And I know I would never miss one of your broadcasts. So thank you for bringing your heart to that. And, as a leader, I know that's not always easy to do. It's always, business has to come first. But as we're going to learn as we talk today, people come first for you. And you made a big impact on us.
Well, it's very kind of you to say, I think the way the Royal Caribbean team worked its way through the pandemic with our travel advisors, with our guests, with our crew members, really reflects a culture that we spent over 30 years developing. Obviously wasn't with that in mind, but it positioned us so well to see our way through the pandemic. Thank you for commenting on my backyard videos. But it's the people. It's always the people. And probably one of the more emotional times of my life was when I we were the first ship to be coming back into service in the United States after the terrible time of the pandemic. And I went to the ship before started opening, and I actually remember coming in. We didn't have the gangway out, so I came in through the crew gangway, and I was supposed to meet the people I was meeting in the plaza. It was the Celebrity Edge, and is sort of you get from the gangway to the elevator lobby was only about, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 feet. Took me an hour and a half to make that trip. I mean, there was hugs, tears, and the stories. Of course, the selfies, amazing number of selfies, but the stories of how everybody got through it. It was just so heartrending, and it's that spirit, it's that passion that I think has helped Royal Caribbean deliver the WOW over the years, and I couldn't be more proud of those people.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds impactful and something you'll never forget, I'm sure.
Never.
Wow. So when we were kind of preparing for the podcast, you mentioned you took on something new this last, couple of years, which is writing a book. And it sounds like this new book, Delivering the WOW, is both kind of a leadership story and also really a philosophy. And I read in the book that the WOW concept wasn't the original acronym used by Royal Caribbean, but it came to be. So what does WOW mean to you, and how did it become this guiding principle for the organization?
Well, thank you for, because writing a book was something I never imagined doing and something I had no experience doing. I think I know something about the cruise industry, but the publishing industry turns out to be very different. And I think what drove it was really people talk about how unique the Royal Caribbean culture is, just how special it is. The people are beyond my ability to describe, and the culture that they have put together over that period. And so I really wanted to try and describe how that came about. And it's, as you say, it's both sort of a history, but it's also, hopefully, I think that there are others who want to see how they can create a culture in their own organizations, whether that's a business or a nonprofit or even a blogger or a radio station or TV station. And so delivering the WOW really did became a word that encapsulated, because people would see our people, see an experience, see a ship, see something that somebody did and say, wow. And it's just it's the word that comes up. And it's yes, we see it. I mean, it's probably most obvious in the crew members who are deliver it every single day, not in necessarily big ways, but the smile on their face and let me bring you an extra dessert. Let me help you do this. But it's also the people who do create this stuff, the people who design a menu, people who organize, choreograph a show. All of these people are delivering the WOW, and all of it comes out of culture. You just have to have that passion for innovation, that passion for doing things better, continuous improvement. And so I was so lucky to be part of that, so proud to be part of that, and I wanted to convey a little of that, and that's why the book came about.
I love it. So, Richard, a lot of our listeners, they're cruise lovers who also dream about the future of cruising. What are some of the trends or innovations that you are most excited about in the cruise industry for the next 10 years?
Well, first of all, I'm going to enjoy watching Jason Liberty and his team put them together. I know
Yeah.
one of the things is I I'm feeling a lot lighter now without any responsibility for worrying about that. But I think you can see a trend, and it's been a steady trend. We really envisioned ourselves as more than just a cruise line. Um, yes, it would be nice to be an even better cruise line and a more important cruise line, but we really saw ourselves as a vacation provider. And that meant going beyond just the confines of the ship. That meant constantly working to improve, which is we've kind of gotten there today where Royal Caribbean is a market value that exceeds that of any hotel company, any airline, and almost any vacation provider you can think of. And that's because, and I'll go back and say some people looked at the expansion of the cruise ships and saying, gee, does the ship become the destination? And we've always had the view that that's not right. It's part of the experience, but it's very much tied in with what we do on shore, and that's where our new Perfect Days have come from. That's where our Royal Beach Clubs are coming in. Now you're seeing we're going into the river cruise market. So it's really to expand constant improvement in what we offer on the ship, but to expand what we do ashore. Jason Liberty, my successor, has coined a phrase which I think encapsulates that so well. And he says, instead of providing the vacation of a lifetime, we want to provide a lifetime of vacations. I think that says it very well.
Wow. Yep. Going after that guest loyalty there.
Indeed.
You bet.
And our guests are amazingly loyal.
Mm-hmm. They sure are. They sure are. And it's funny that you mentioned the river cruising. I heard that many of those sailings on the new river cruise line sold out right away. That's so exciting.
Yes, it was really. I think we were expecting to have very good results, but the response to those new river ships has just been wow. Just
Wow.
there it is.
There it is again.
Wow. Yes,
I love it.
just been awesome.
So good. So looking back at your 30 plus years in leadership, what do you think was the single most transformative decision or maybe even an innovation that changed the company's trajectory?
Oh, wow. I think everybody thinks in terms of these great epiphanies, this great, brilliant decision. I wish I could say I made all these great, wonderful individual decisions, but I just can't. The truth is, there wasn't one epiphany. There wasn't one just special moment. There was just every single day. And I think if there's one point I try to make in the book, it's culture. It's the people, it's the people, it's the people, it's the culture that they create. And they do it every day. And how do you create that culture? You don't do it by adopting a policy. This isn't 7 brilliant principles of a great leader. This is a way of living. This is a way of thinking, and it's very interactive. So I will admit, every time I had to sign a contract with, 9 kind of digits in it, 10 digits, it was a little scary. But the real joy, and it was a joy, and is a joy, and the real luck was to be able to be part of creating a culture. And that was a series of decision making that you didn't even know you were making decisions. It was things you did every day.
The little things that add up to the big ones. I love it. So ships like Icon and Star of the Seas, they're these big engineering marvels, but they also spark conversation about scale and sustainability. So how do you think the industry can best balance the whole bigger and better movement with responsible tourism?
Oh, I'm really glad you asked that because I think there's so many misconceptions out there, and it gives me you mentioned 2 ships specifically, for example, Icon and Star of the Seas. They are the largest cruise ships ever built, but they're also some of the most sustainable ships that have ever been built. We keep learning and building these amazing vessels, the technology that goes into it. And I mean, I could go on and on. One that probably doesn't get as much attention as the others is we started with something we call win on waste. Well, in any industry, there's a lot of food, particularly the cruise industry, there's a lot of food waste. And so early on, and it was part of the design of the ship, and now it continues on. How can we use technology? How can we use design? How can we use our imagination and our experience to make these ships even more environmentally friendly? And there are ways to do that. Similarly, how do we use it so that when the ship arrives in port, instead of continuing to use the engines, we plug in to shore power? All these kinds of things, and we're able to bring all of that determination, because it's always about passion, and all of that technology and all of that experience to make these ships so sustainable.
I love it. It's a big focus for you. It's a big focus for CLIA, big focus for the industry. It's so important.
Indeed, and it's a question of focus. You know, there's no limit to what we can do, and our ships and our destinations and our crew and our service prove that. But so does our sustainability objectives. That when you put passion and you put people who really care, that's the key to success.
Love it. So we hear a lot about Royal Caribbean redefining vacations, not just cruising, but the idea of vacation. How do you see the company's competition with land-based resorts like Disney or all-inclusive destinations?
Well, I think part of what we've said is we have a North Star. Our North Star is to provide a great vacation. How we provide it, we actually do it with ships as a starting point, but it's really the vacation. And you see, we are continually looking to ways to improve it. We're still an infinitesimally small part of the vacation market. So people think of us as competing with land-based vacations. We're not competing with land-based vacations. We're complementing it. And as our impact grows, as our innovation allows us to do new and different things, that's our focus. And I think the reason that we've been successful at that is that we have this North Star, this long-term goal we focus on. And people say, well, you know, that's your North Star. But they don't really, I think, focus enough on the fact we navigate by our North Star when we are at sea. Our seafarers use that to guide them. Now we also use GPS, but but we still carry a sextant on most of our ships. But the North Star is thousands of light years away. We don't expect to reach it. We're constantly striving to get it to move in that direction. So our focus is continually do better at providing a vacation. It starts at sea, but that's only part of it. And that's the North Star. So I think we will continue to compete well and successfully with land-based because we have the flexibility of doing both.
Absolutely. We touched on the pandemic just a tiny bit in the beginning, but obviously the pandemic was such a defining moment for the whole travel industry. We never could have dreamed that the things that happened. But when we're talking about leadership again, what are some of the leadership lessons that period of time reinforced for you, maybe personally and professionally?
Well, sure. Thanks for bringing up one of the worst times of my
life. Do we really have to relive it, right? I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're not the least bit sorry, but it's all right. I cover it. But it was the worst time in all of our lives. I mean, it was terrible for our children. It was terrible for our communities. But I'm so proud of the way the Royal Caribbean responded to that. This was an existential challenge, but our culture, which we had spent decades preparing, almost as though we were preparing for this moment, because throughout the pandemic, the one thing that I think that the people at Royal Caribbean did extraordinarily well was focus not on the problem. Yes, it was a terrible problem, but our focus was not on getting through the problem. Our focus was not on dealing with the disaster we were facing as much as it was, how are we going to emerge from this? How do we keep our focus on that long term, that North Star? And throughout the pandemic, we said our goal is not to survive this. Our goal is to make sure that when this is over, and there was never a doubt that it would end, we may not know when, and of course it took longer than any of us would have imagined, but our goal consistently was, when we're on the other side, how do we make sure that we are strong? And the alignment that we had throughout the company, that's our goal, because the boss always gets the credit and the blame for when the decisions. But the truth of the matter is that everybody is making hundreds of decisions every day, and we have tens of thousands of people. Today we have the workforce of Royal Caribbean is over 100,000 people, and every day they are making thousands of decisions. And how do you get those decisions to focus in a consistent way? And it was the culture that allowed us to do that. We knew at the beginning that was our mantra. We're going to come through this strong. And that culture is what saved the day for us. And I couldn't be prouder of the men and women that made that happen.
Love it. I love it. I promise we won't talk about the pandemic anymore.
But you refuse to look at my pictures of my grandchildren. So,
I'd love to see all 3,500 of them, I think you said, right? Bring it on.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait. We're going to see all of them at the end. You know how to screen share on Zoom. We'll do it. So over your career, you've led people and departments and the organization through economic shifts, new technologies, and even you're leading travelers, right? Through changing travel expectations, because the cruise industry changes, the travel industry always evolves. How do you stay kind of grounded and keep a sense of vision and maybe even a sense of humor through all of it?
Well, first of all, as challenging as some of the times were, I am the luckiest person on earth. Nobody had a job that put me in connection with such extraordinary people, such people who cared, people who thrived on doing better. And so I think that was my touchstone throughout. I'm also extraordinarily lucky. I've had a few mentors in my life. And my first real mentor, I was lucky enough to marry. We met in college and we built on that. And she has stood by me and guided me throughout all this period. So I've had a lot of it, but it's really, I think one of the things, and it's part of what drove me to write the book, was society has become so short-term oriented. What have you done for me lately? What are we doing next week? What's going to happen next year? And I think the thing that was very helpful to me was to realize that I can obsess about my mistakes. And there's plenty of those to go around. We don't have to, by the way, we don't have to dwell on each and every one of those. But I can dwell on my mistakes, or I can say, well, okay, I screwed up. Now let's move forward. It turns out that when you look forward and not back, the results are better.
I love that. So I took away from that in the beginning, I think you were really touching on gratitude as one of your core principles. You woke up every day and looked at your job with a sense of gratitude. And you immediately said it. I'm the luckiest guy who has this wonderful job. And I think you bring that too, just with having that sense of attitude and gratitude every morning when you wake up and step into the office.
It's simply true. I mean, I would get up every morning and say, okay, now this is another wonderful day. I get to deal with wonderful people who care. I think passion is an undervalued attribute,
Right.
but these people really cared about what they did, and continue to care. And I think when you care enough, it really shows, and people can see that.
Yeah.
And it leads to innovation. It leads to weird ideas. And so I am the luckiest person. I did have the best job in the world. Um, and I now have the second best job in the world, which is a former CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I noticed? You didn't say I have to. You said I get to. I get to work with. And that right there is something I think we can all apply to waking up every morning, no matter what situation that we're in. It's that approach. It's the I get to, not the I have to, that I think defines very positive leaders sometimes. So
Well,
yeah.
again, I was incredibly lucky.
Mhm.
And I think the culture, and I was lucky, by the way, to have inherited a very strong culture.
Mhm.
So I was in a position to build on that, and fortunate enough to be able to do that. And again, it always comes down to the people, and
Yeah.
they shared the passion, and that always led to innovation, but they weren't obsessive about it. So we were able to actually have the conversation. I'm also a big believer in playing devil's advocate, and
Mm.
I enjoy doing that too.
Yep, that's important too, to be able to do that, to be able to challenge people a little bit while still keeping them in that positive frame of mind, right? So you've received some global recognition, some honors around the world. What do those honors mean to you personally, and what do they say kind of about the global impact of cruise travel?
Oh, well, thank you. Again, one of the nice things about being the boss of a successful company is the company gets honored and you get to personalize it, because everybody wants to personalize it. The
Mhm.
company is too amorphous. So um, I love it. Yes, I enjoy it. I've been privileged to receive a number of awards, but um, I think they reflect the contribution that the company has made, and I represent the company. And I'm just frankly very pleased that it has been recognized. And some of them are sort of seem personal, but most of these are for things we have done, which are very tangible, which have helped other people. And that makes me very proud. You know, we talk about the company's been financially successful, but it's also helped unbelievable number of people. It has given people, millions of people every year, a vacation of a life. No, not a vacation of a lifetime. Jason has shifted that from using the term a vacation of a lifetime to a lifetime of vacations. I think that's wonderful. But we give amazing vacations to bring families together. We help our communities,
Mhm.
all of those things. And I'm just lucky to be able to represent the company, and um, sometimes that gets reflected in awards.
Absolutely. And I bet you heard about some of that impact that day too, with the restart when you were walking back onto that celebrity ship and those people stopped you. That impact from the staff, the crew, the employees, and what the industry means to them and to their families, like providing for their families all over the world, right?
Well, it really was. That is an experience I'm fortunate enough to feel every time I go on one of our ships. Um, the crew are so, I mean, they're so good to everybody, but when the boss comes on board, they're even more effusive,
Mhm.
and I'm always shocked. They are so proud of what they do, and and pride is an important driver.
Mhm.
I think people what motivates people is self-motivation. You drive yourself more than any boss can ever drive you. And as you say, when I walked on board, one of the crew members, I remember saying to me, um, the guests are coming shortly, and the people who are on these early cruises after the pandemic, they're going to have the best vacation any human has ever had. you can't, you can't, I can't express just how important that kind of passion, that kind of caring, and
Mm.
it comes across to all of our guests. So yes, again, I'm maybe I'm saying it too much, but I've been so fortunate to have the opportunity to work with all these people and in this wonderful business.
It's so true what you said about those early sailings back being the best vacations of people's lifetime. I was on, I think, maybe the third sailing or fourth sailing of Adventure of the Seas out of the Bahamas. And it's true. My family and I will never forget that feeling. Um, but when we came home, what we shared with people wasn't how great it was to be on a ship or to be on an island. It was how great it was to see the faces of the crew, even though it was behind a mask at that time. Um, it was probably one of the most impactful travel experiences that we ever had. And you could see them smiling with their eyes behind the mask, and it'll live with me forever. It was the people. It wasn't the ships. It wasn't the destination. It was just that
It's
feeling.
always the people.
Yeah, always
The people.
So speaking of stepping back on a ship, my last question for you today is, when you step on a ship these days with your wife of 56 years, is it 56 years? 56?
It is.
Or your grandchildren.
And I better get that right.
We'll fact check that one. But what wows you these days when you step on board a ship all these years later?
Actually, that's very easy. And first of all, everything does. And of course, to see the architecture, to see the art, to see the spaces, to see the entertainment, to see the food. But my very first cruise, what shocked me was the crew members. I mean, you'd think they were on vacation, and I already knew how hard they worked back then. I now appreciate even more how hard their job is, and they look like they're on vacation. So I think even today when I go on board, it is the crew that always impresses me the most.
Wonderful. Richard, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today, and congratulations on the new book. It's a wonderful read for someone who's interested in the cruise industry history, who's interested in leadership, or just interested in the Royal Caribbean group of companies, Royal Caribbean. It is a beautiful read. So thank you for creating that for us.
Jerry, thank you very much. I've enjoyed this, and thank you for all you do to advance our industry.
Our pleasure, and I'll look forward to seeing you on board.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. If you like our show and want to know more, check us out at CruiseTipsTV.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Cruise Tips TV. We'd love if you'd leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the show, and tune in next week. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.